Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Chris Meaney here with you. Mean Streets on our FTN YouTube page, listening on iTunes and Spotify. I greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out. Game 2 tonight, Oilers and Panthers, 8 Eastern. I think the Oilers are going to even this thing up at a game apiece. It's really hard for me to bet against Florida, especially at home. You guys know how much I like this Panthers team, but the Oilers played a really great brand of 5-5 hockey in game 1, despite losing 3-0. Came out really strong in that first period. They had the edge in basically every single statistic at 5-5. The shot attempts were 51 to 36, 15 plus edge in favor of the Oilers. The shots 25-16, 11 plus edge in favor of the Oilers. The scoring chances 24 to 18, an 8 plus edge for the Oilers, and the high danger chances 13 to 6, a 7 plus edge for Edmonton, all at 5-5. A great brand of hockey. Expect the Panthers to be a little bit sharper at 5-5 on home ice. Bobrovsky's been fantastic. He's now plus 190 to win the Conn Smythe here. I think he's allowed 2 or fewer goals in 14 of his 18 games here in the playoffs. I still have this feeling we're going to see high scoring games in this series. I don't think we're going to see Edmonton get shut out on the power play too often. And I really still feel like Florida is the better hockey team, so they're going to do their part. But in terms of tonight, I am leading with Connor McDavid. We did hit this one in game 1. He's just been super aggressive. Plus 110 for 4 shots on goal. McDavid finished second among all skaters in ice time with 25 attempts. He also had 8 attempts and 6 shots on goal. He's had 5 plus shots in 4 of his last 5 games. He's averaging 4.1 shots per game over his last 7. I think he's been at like 4 shots in 5 of his last 7 games too. Like over those 7 games, 4 plus in 5 of them, and averaging just over 4 shots per game over that span. So I think he's going to continue to be aggressive. He's getting all kinds of ice time. Knobloch put him with Draisaitl at moments in that game, but he is going to live in the 23 plus minute range. I think every game of this series, unless there's one where they're just blowing out Florida and they can, decide to rest him potentially in the late in the game. But all signs point to him getting as much ice time as he can handle, and I think that's going to continue here in game 2. On the other side, Evan Bouchard, over 2.5 shots at minus 114 over at Bet Rivers. Again, Prop Shop is your friend. Free tool over at ftnfantasy.com. Click Prop Shop up at the top. It's like a Google search. You get the best number, save you some time, and save you some cash. Bouchard had a whopping 16 shot attempts. 16 shot attempts in game 1. Of course, that wasn't even close to anybody else in that game. I think Ekblad actually had 10 from the point. So the Oilers, Bouchard and Ekblad, 2 partners, 26 attempts in that game, putting a lot of pucks towards the goal. He also played 27 minutes and 16 seconds. So that was the most as well of any skater in the game. He had 4 shots, 16 attempts, only 4 shots. But for a guy who's leading the playoffs in shot attempts, he's getting leaned on so much. The power play, right, is lethal in Edmonton, and he's getting a lot of shot attempts on that power play as well. I believe 10 of the 16, we're at 5-5 for him. So it wasn't just all power play production. He had 10 attempts. Ekblad had 10 attempts, and at 5-5, McDavid was next with 8 total when you include the power play. So taking a look at Bouchard here, over 2.5 shots at minus 114. And then I'm going to go into something that's a little bit juicy here in Carter Verhaeghe. At this time of the season, we're always trying to find edges, and the books are super sharp. Like, do we want to take Carter Verhaeghe for a point at minus 175? Probably not. But I do think that this guy hits the score sheet. So if you're doing a couple parlays, you want to add maybe Verhaeghe in there for a point. We'll get to a couple other ones that I like. But he scored his 10th goal in the playoffs in game 1. We've been talking about him over the past couple of episodes here on Mean Streets or Dangle Batselli, that he is a decent long shot for Conn Smythe. And I know Bobrovsky got the shutout, and he's been great. But if Edmonton can score a few goals on him throughout the playoffs, we get a 6 or a 7 game series where we see some offense. Verhaeghe is now second in the playoffs in goals with 10. He leads Florida with 10. In 10 games in the playoffs at home, he has 6 goals and 10 points. My money is on Verhaeghe to hit the score sheet again. Point at minus 175. I think the best number is at DraftKings. A goal at plus 175. I think the best number is at Bet Rivers. Another guy that's been pretty good, we can continue to go to him, is Sam Bennett. To pick up a point, he's plus 125. I think that number is actually from Bet365. Assist in game 1 to extend his point streak to 4 games. He's hit the score sheet in 6 of the past 7 games. He's been all over it. He had 11 hits in game 1. He's playing really, really great. And by the way, PrizePicks is offering 4.5 hits for Sam Bennett tonight. The over on that over at PrizePicks. But I like Kachuk at over 2.5 hits over at PrizePicks as well. I think Underdog is offering the same number. He threw 5 body checks in game 1. For the second straight game, he's had 5 body checks. He cleared this number easily in every game but one against the Bruins. That was a more physical series. The last series against the Rangers wasn't as physical. I didn't think that it really was. There were some moments, but Tkachuk set the tone in game one. Pretty quiet in terms of ice time. It was just over 13 minutes. And he didn't really do much in terms of putting pucks towards the goal. DraftKings is offering an alternate today at minus 155 for 3 shots on goal. I do believe Tkachuk is going to get 3 if you want to take that juice. I'm taking it personally. But if you're a Prize Picks user, I have Matthew Tkachuk over 2.5 hits. Other things that I have over at Prize Picks, I put it into our Prize Picks Discord channel. I had McDavid for 4 shots, Tkachuk for 3 hits, Bouchard over 1.5 shots. It's a Goblins. It's teased down a little bit there. Verhaeghe for a point. And then there's a combo of Draisaitl and Reinhart for over 5.5 shots on goal. I'm going to stay away from Reinhart because he's at 3.5, just like Verhaeghe. There really isn't an advantage with some of these Florida shooters. I do have one in a moment, but I am also taking Draisaitl as a solo play for 3 shots at minus 130 over at DraftKings. He ended up with 4 shots on 6 attempts. As I mentioned, Nabal put him with Connor McDavid. I think they played like 6 or 7 minutes of 5-and-5 hockey together in game one. I think there's something going on with Evander Kane. No shot attempts, only 14 minutes at 5-and-5. He's bumped down the lineup and he's penciled in to be on the 4th lineup. I don't think he's 100%. And it does mean more ice time for other guys, but it also means the possibility of just like seeing Draisaitl with McDavid and them controlling the pace at 5-and-5. Other things that I have here for points, Barkov and Reinhart. This one hit for us in game one, plus 105 over at Bet365. I think DraftKings and FanDuel hanging this a number very similar as well. These guys playing 5-and-5 together and playing on the power play together. As I said in game one, when I took this, you could add Verhaeghe if you wanted. Get a little bit greedy there at plus 165. Maybe you just take him as a solo, take him to hit the score sheet or a goal there, and then you just take these guys as you know, a little bit of a 2-leg same game parlay there. And then Bouchard and Hyman didn't hit in game one, but I don't expect the Oilers to get shut out. I think that power play will hit the score sheet, generate some opportunities. Just some Bouchard is, you know, Hyman leads the playoffs in goals. I'm heading into the game one. He had more shots than anybody in the playoffs, and then Bouchard leads everybody in shot attempts. So the volume is there. I think the process is right. We did pretty good in terms. It was just one game, but our futures are still intact for everybody to have like 2 shots minus Matthew Tkachuk. But tonight we're going to leave Tkachuk off of this 2 shot on goal parlay of 6 players: Verhaeghe, Reinhart, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Bouchard. All of these guys to have at least 2 shots on goal tonight at plus 155. That is over at Bet365. You can have some, I always have some fun with like 3+. If you wanted to do anyone with 4, like Hyman and McDavid would be my 4s. I'd go Verhaeghe and Reinhart for 3. I'd go Hyman for 3, and then maybe just tease down Draisaitl and Bouchard for 2. Even though I like them as solo plays, when I get too greedy, that would be an overtime ticket. You can get something like 12-1 if you have a couple 4s and 3s in there, and you hope for overtime. Again, I wouldn't put a whole lot on that. It hasn't worked out all that well for us in these playoffs. We always seem to be like 1 shot off for a guy, but this is one that I like for all these guys to have 2+ shots tonight. And then these are 2 guys that really were noticeable to me in game one. We'll start here with Vladimir Tarasenko for 2 shots at minus 143 over at Bet Rivers. Tarasenko led all Florida forwards with 5 shot attempts at 5-and-5 in game one. Of course, he's on that second power play, so he's not going to get too much run on the power play. He did finish with a team high 6 attempts, and he had 2 shots. That was at all strengths. But his line with Lindell and Luostarinen were very, very noticeable. Among all Florida lines, they had a line high 11 shot attempts. They were first in expected goals. They had a line high 6 scoring chances and 3 high danger chances. So they generated some offense there. And this is where I thought the advantage would be with Florida. You know, the third and fourth line, a little bit more depth than the Edmonton Oilers, a little bit more speed. Lindell's fantastic. I mean, I think the kid is 21 years old. Like he's a really good player. And you know, he may be a top 6 player on a majority of teams, but he's playing in the bottom 6 here. He's filled in at times on the top line with Barkov. I think they got something going on with Rodriguez and Bennett. Tkachuk on that second line. Of course, Verhaeghe in the first line with Barkov and Reinhart looks great. And this third line is playing really good. Ever since Paul Maurice shuffled some things around against the Rangers, Lindell, Luostarinen, and Tarasenko have been extremely noticeable, and they were in game one. In fact, Vlad has at least 2 shots on goal in 5 straight games. As for Warren Foegele, he did check some boxes for me. I thought he had a little bit of jump. We were on Fogle, I think, early on in these playoffs against the Los Angeles Kings. He finishes with 4 attempts and 3 shots on goal at 5-5. The 4 attempts was second among forwards. McDavid with 5 attempts there. He only played 9 minutes and 52 seconds of ice time at 5-5. But looking back, there's not a huge decent sample size, but not a huge track record of him, having at least 2 shots. But he has done it in 3 straight games. Just seeing Knoblauch switch around some lines. I think Fogle is like a guy that we can take here for 2 shots. -110 over at BetMGM. Again, I think there's something going on with Evander Kane. And then Tarasenko there at 2 shots at -143. So let's recap here. We have a 6-leg parlay for Haggy, Reinhart, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard, 2+ shots each at +155 for you Prize Picks users. Matthew Tkachuk over 2.5 hits over at prizepicks.com. Promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. And then you can include McDavid for 4 shots. Bouchard is over there at 1.5 shots, but I like him for 2.5 shots. For Haggy for a point, -175 to hit the score sheet for a goal at +175. Sam Bennett for a point at +125. Leon Draisaitl, 3 shots at -130. Then some point parlays here. Barkov and Reinhart +105. Bouchard and Hyman at +120. I'd rank them McDavid, Bouchard. That's the way I would go. McDavid, Bouchard for Haggy for a point. Then get into Draisaitl for 3 shots, Bennett for a point. And we can have some fun with some of these parlays. I do believe the Oilers even this thing up, but I think we're going to see some goals. That was my gut feeling, that we would see some offense. Didn't see it in game 1. Loved the start from Edmonton. Bobrovsky was great. A little bit more push and more aggressiveness, I think, on Florida's side as well. I think we see some offense tonight. I leaned at the over 5.5, but I think we'll see Edmonton even this series up. They're going to have to, because the Panthers are pretty deadly on the road as well. Good luck on the ice, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.